what excites you the most and what worries you the most about the current entertainment landscape? Because it feels like there's a tectonic shift taking place in the business.
Yes.
It feels like things have changed. I think that OTT has come and sort of changed the rules of the game.
Yes.
But also what's happening within the film industry. I mean, what a year you've had just as a film producer. You've had Dreamgirl most recently, which is really this massive surprise hit. With Jabariya and with Judgmental, maybe lesser successes, but what a mixed bag of a year. And then you've got the OTTs, you've got your shows which are doing, you're also able to kind of create very different kind of shows. And I'm told Alt Balaji is one of the most popular platforms.
So there's so much happening on the digital medium. Alt has done pretty well for itself, and the fact that it's got so many subscribers makes me humbled more than anything else, because we have no movies. We have very few movies.
Correct.
We don't have any international library.
Right.
And we
it's the shows mostly.
Yeah,
that
it's
people
all
are
originals,
subscribing to.
and we don't even have a running television library that can be put as catch up television.
Correct. It's like put all of Friends on it or whatever.
Yeah, or even Indian television.
Right.
I don't have any of my TV IP.
Right.
So for it to work was like hitting against a wall, and I felt great because I felt like a newcomer all over.
You started from scratch pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. But what's interesting is that it's giving birth to such fresh ideas, because we have had these mediums which have been pulled down by the commerce of it, and we can't support individuality because our distribution networks are so strong, and they depend on getting mass numbers.
Correct, your mass produced content.
So be it TV or be it films, and with digital you don't have to get a huge community. You get a small community, and that community is liking your content, and you can make that content. So yeah, it's a great time for storytellers.
Right. But Ekta, what's fascinating is that you're actually working in all three mediums. You're still producing television for the big networks.
Yes.
You're now creating these original shows for Alt Balaji, or they're going on other apps, as the new ones are. They're going on Z5 and Alt Balaji, and you're making the movies. How do you decide? I would imagine with films it's a clear. I mean, when a script comes along, it's a film script. But when a show idea comes, how are you deciding between television, between what goes on the app? Is there a specific kind of show, kind of content or kind of story that merits the
See, with TV, it's very clearly one size fits all. You have to be very clear that you're going into people's homes. It's mass content. It's content that's going into families. We all have I actually believe Indians have three faces. The friends face, the family face, and the solo face.
Correct.
So when we're alone, we watch very different content. When we're with our families, we are busy trying to be perfect. Beti ke samne ye nahi dekh sakte, daddy ke samne ye nahi dekh sakte. And when we're with our friends, we are actually watching communal viewing, which is movies. So each content decides its own medium, and that's easy for us to decide, because you know that, okay, I can't put really sexual content on television, even though I can't even put even if I want to make a crime drama or like a Mirzapur or an Apharan, I can't put it on TV because the men will say, "Arey, there's too much violence, can't watch with my mother." I'd rather watch it alone. So if I want to put out an affair, I can't put it out because so many women told me we'd like to watch it, but our husbands judging us. So there's so much so the mediums get decided by the content itself.
Is there one medium that excites you more than the others? Is it the original shows that you're creating for
I think
OTT because it's newer
OTT
and shiny?
Really, OTT really works for me because you see, I have been constantly branded for the content I've made on television, and people expect me to be a certain kind of person, and I love it. I have no problems. I think I'm pretty inclusive as a human being. I think I enjoy and I'm proud of the work I do on television, because for masses, television is escapism. Art has different meaning for different people. For some it's realism, for some it's escapism, and you have to accept that. For a person who's had a really tough day, he wants to come and have a suspension of reality, and I'm really proud of that. Films get dictated by actors, by the commerce of it, and that's also great. But the OTT space has actually given birth for a person like me the chance to say, like the Nanavati case. How would I ever cast it? It had to have an ensemble cast. It was probably the most misrepresented case ever. We've always had in Raaste Pyar Ke showed, Rustom showed. I mean, in 2017 we can't show that it's a man's honor when he shoots his wife's boyfriend. It's her choice.
Right.
It might be an ethical issue, it can't be a crime, and it's not even an ethical issue. If someone cheats on you, you walk away. You have no right to kill someone.
Did you feel that there was more to say? Is that why you decided
Oh,
that,
yeah.
despite the fact that there has been this film, he won the Akshay won the National Award for that film, so we know it's a widely
Akshay's
watched
great.
film. Correct,
Akshay's
no.
great.
I'm saying it's a widely watched film, and you still, because I think a lot of people were just surprised, do we need another show?
So I actually believe Akshay did something very amazing in the film. He made it about national issues and he got the names removed, because he also must have realized that in 2017 you cannot make a case like this. I mean, the property law, I mean, women who were subjected to being criminalized because they cheated on their husbands, that law got removed in 2017.
Right.
And that's the same year this movie came. I mean, you really can't think that it's a man's honor to kill another man because his wife chose to sleep with that man. It is her choice. Choice being the operative word.
Right.
I mean, we don't even know today the difference between sex and sexual crime. Even in marriage, if you are having non-consensual sex, it's a crime.
Correct. Correct.
You know,
yes,
so like,
rape, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, I really felt very strongly about this case. It was about the Sindhis, the Parsis, old money.
Correct.
People who felt, in a lot of things today, that, you know, so many things are expected to be ours, and the Sindhis came with new money and flaunted it.
Correct.
And were called the new Varishas. It was about them versus the old money. It was about women having a narrative that was being crushed.
Correct.
Because suddenly it was, all men felt very strongly that what if this happens to us? Let's teach the women a lesson. So I just felt this was so much more than just the case.
Right. It had political repercussions.
I even have a whole track running simultaneously of the film industry at that time. And we have how women had to pander to a lot of male egos, you know. So I feel the whole case itself became
sort of had an impact and had
on society, and the jury was removed because the jury actually supported, which actually shows a mindset and how the narrative has changed today.
So when you're able to do all these exciting things on OTT and in the original show space, do you feel like television is going to, has this sort of proved, you know, with sort of films, with cinema going in exciting new directions, with OTT going in exciting new directions, is television going to be left behind? Do you feel like that's the medium that's
not at all
somewhere going to stay what it is?
So I actually feel when you're watching television, you don't want anything that is shocking. It's like it has to be very vanilla. Because you're watching it with your family, you're going into people's homes, and we don't even realize we're a 1.3 billion population.
Right.
I mean, whatever you may say, it's a trickle down effect. Luckily today, television, most of the television shows deal with issues that are progressive. What they don't deal with are shows that have some kind of radical thought.
Right.
Like we have a third sex show called Shakti.
Correct.
Which worked in India. I mean, I was quite shocked. It's a show about the third sex. A girl who's gotten married and she realized that.
Why doesn't anyone talk about that? Why does everyone only talk about the
I mean, I did a show where I said, you know, in most of India has this barren woman concept, and this woman who couldn't have a child.
Correct.
And it was about the stepmom taking on a child, and she had a problem, and it was about motherhood being beyond being, because that's another stigma. Rashmi picked up a show about the third sex, and that show did superbly well, and it works. These kind of shows work, but radical shows don't work. A woman can't cheat, a woman can't make certain decisions which are against marital, even men can't. India does not like it. And that's where we get into the space of, you know, why? Because we may even believe it inside ourselves. We're watching it with our family. And we want them not to believe that we like this.
Right. You know, a few years ago, Ekta, when there were a few films that didn't do well, there was all this talk of Ekta stopping film production completely. Not only has that proved to be untrue, you've actually it feels like there's been a shift in terms of what you want to make. I mean, even if even if two of those three films didn't work, there's very clearly, I mean, a film like Judgmental, like, you're clearly saying I'm interested in telling different kinds of stories. Is that, I mean, was there a shift? Was there a switch on, switch off button?
Yes, there was. I went into making projects in 2016 and I realized that that's not my space. See, whatever I do on television, we see our stories and we don't get dictated by actors or directors.
Right.
And we have a strong writing team and we respect our writing team. Somehow in films, you know, it was about signing the big directors and signing the big actors, and I thought maybe I would fail because Indian audiences are changing and I got to change with them. And so we switched into making Judgmental, for whatever it's worth, has not lost money. And for a certain audience worked. And that's good enough. I can't, Jabariya didn't really do well on both aspects. And then Dream Girl does really well. But the fact that India is willing to listen to newer stories is giving a chance to, and I think that at one point I can either be that producer who sits and on the set and has Coca-Cola with a direct producer, or I can creatively ally with great talent. And
I mean, you produced Alankrita's new film, Dolly or Kitty Ke Chamakte Sitare. It's going to Busan. Now, you know, it's funny because I know you did come in and you became the savior on Lipstick when Lipstick was made, and who will save this film, who will release this film. But there was also this impression that Ekta is drawn to sensational stuff. Is the interest in Dolly and Kitty beyond that? Because
so I did one with Lipstick. There were 11 studios that said no. And I remember my team telling me that, you know, you cannot produce this. This, you know, one South Bombay theatre will watch, but it takes about 5.5 crores to release a film. And to that it's going to cover about 10 crores. I saw the film, I said, you know, I think I think it's going to really unite a lot of women. It's like sneaky conversations, and I think that's fun. So like I think we'll do it smartly. We'll remove television advertising from it. So we'll reduce the cost there, and it was sensational for sure. And it was something that no one would pick up because the money required would be. So. And I maybe there's a sneaky little me inside me that wants to like say that, oh really, this can't work. Just because it's dealing with
we come from a defined place.
Yeah, female sexuality, is that such a taboo? Well, let's see. Even this one, it's got a lot of sex in it, but not sexual content as such. But it talks about female sexuality, and I'm enamored by it because I feel we have so much of a problem with sex. And no problem with sexual crime. I think we don't even know what our demarcations are.
So that was talking about bold themes, sexual themes in cinema. There is a view that there's a lot of titillating shows also on the app.
Absolutely, there are. I swear, there is a lot of titillating content.
What's going to happen when they bring in regulations, when they bring in censorship, which is now looking like a real threat, isn't it?
So, you know, I look at it this way, that every time I discuss, especially with people in the government, I don't see a nonsensical conversation. I see a lot of, like, I spoke to Vani once and I said, you know, what are you guys planning? It's individual viewing. We cannot curb. The moment we start prohibition, I though actually am of a belief that the more sex you show and people can see it and enjoy it, they
get tired of it.
No, you have to make it normal.
Normalize it, right.
Otherwise, prohibition causes some kind of defunct need to actually go and express yourself outside. I mean, I am like self-expression always. Go and do what you want and see what you want, as long as you don't push your needs on another person. So, yeah,
but you're optimistic about the censorship?
I actually think that the censorship will have to have its own norms. If they bring censorship on the digital platforms, a lot of American content will be removed. And that will be a really sad story, because I think the way, I mean, I love seeing Deuce. I mean, it gives me
set in the porn industry of the 70s.
I mean, I saw Boogie Nights and it gave me a whole new perspective. I actually make dirty picture after seeing Boogie Nights, because I thought People versus Life Front, because it actually told me that there's a life out there and there are people who live like survivors. And then I read an article, of course, that spoke about Indian women who actually explored their sexuality and didn't look at themselves as victims but as survivors.
What excites you the most about the medium today, Ekta? What do you feel like you're empowered to do today because the audience has changed, because because you have platforms like OTT? What does that allow you to do today, which you felt your hands were tied maybe a few years ago?
So, like with movies, with both Lipstick and Dolly Kitty, we've explored female sexuality. On the digital platform, I could actually tell stories and narratives which were a little alternative and radical. For whatever it's worth, you can support imperfection.
Right.
I mean, that's such a big thing. You can be inclusive about people who have choices about, I mean, you can be liberated about same-sex choices. You can be liberated about a woman who wants to adopt sexuality and not feel ashamed of it. And you can adopt single parenting, like I've done in Mental Load, which is a show I've just going to launch next month, about being not the best mother ever with Karishma. And you know, there's so many conversations. You don't have to make 500 episodes of it.
Correct.
I'm not stuck to that the story has to work because I have invested enough that 500 episodes have to work.
Right.
I just have to do 10 episodes. And I don't have to say more.
You know, you've also been, right from the start actually, someone who's believed in the writing process and empowered writers.
Yes.
Does that continue, and are they still the most important sort of element on a show?
So for me, I think without a writer, I don't think I'd survive. Directors, of course, but like a Jaya Mishra or a Kanika Dhillon, or writers like these who have.
Kanika, in fact, you made
her
into
co-producer. Yes.
On the next film
she's writing. Chetan Bhagat, I'd done that earlier.
You did that, yeah.
And now in the next few months, most of my writers are turning co-producers, even creative producers who have, like, we have Shonda, we have Phoebe Wallace, and we have Aaron Sorkin. And in India, we don't have these brilliant writers out there getting their due, and I think it's time. Jaya Mishra has written 5 shows for me, and she's written Karma the book, and I think there are these smart women and men out there who tell fabulous stories. Some of them are even creative producers, and they just should get a little bit of equity or a skin in the game, because they're the ones who behind the scenes do all the work.
Right. You know, I'm listening to you talk and I'm thinking you're giving me all these amazing references. You're talking about Phoebe Waller-Bridge. You're talking about Euphoria, which you said is a show that you enjoyed. When you're exposed to all of that, and do you feel like, is there a sense that we're going to get there, or is there a sense of, man, why are we not there yet?
So actually, I have been watching American television for the last 20 years.
Right.
So my friends, when they wanted to gift me something, they gave me a box sets full of data and with a lot of American shows. I had actually a friend of mine who gifted me 250 shows because he knew I was a couch potato and I watched everything. So I actually believe that the storytelling is far more tough in India because we are yet a one TV home.
Right.
With digital coming, we actually always miss one technological beat. We missed the page or we went to the mobile, straight from the landline. We missed the 2 TV homes and we missed the Showtimes and HBOs, and we jumped straight to Netflix. You know? So we've not had that evolution.
Right.
So it will take us some time, but luckily for those who find relief, they can see all American television now in India. As far as us go, we're getting a chance to tell stories to mass India also, which are different, and we're slowly exposing them. It's like when the multiplexes came, they came in 2000, but the real evolution of content happened only like 2012. So we have about 10 years to go.
To catch up,
but it's begun.
Ekta, earlier this year, you had a baby through surrogacy. I want to ask you, has life changed since you became a mom? Does one, you know, do you find you're drawn to different things? Does one change?
So you do. So I'm drawn like a lot more to imperfections because I've started accepting mine. I was told you have to be the perfect mother. You suddenly have to prioritize your child over yourself. So in Mom, I actually made a character that said, you know, ambition should not only be need-based. Like for women, it's expected that if you need to feed your family, then you're allowed to be ambitious. I'm ambitious beyond that. I mean, I will prioritize my son, but I'll prioritize my work too because that's my being. And so I take my child to work every day, and he is there in my meetings. I've made him a part of my life. I may not be the perfect mother, but then
Is there such a thing?
I don't even know. That's why, I mean, in Mental Load, we've actually asked these questions because there is more pressure from other mothers than your own child.
Right.
You know, the WhatsApp groups, the gluten-free khana, you know, the quest for being perfect, the perfect Facebook photo, the perfect family, the perfect child. I think when we adopt imperfection, we are happier. And that's what I've tried to use in all my content now.
Has he changed your life have you changed as a person? Do you find that you're...
I think more than changing as a person, I think what I've realized is my responsibility radar has gone up. I know that there is always another human being who may not even know about me that much in his 8th month.
Correct.
Is now my responsibility, and that's...
Are you thinking now of things like legacy and all of those things?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to give my son too much.
Sure.
I don't want to reduce his hunger. Hunger is a very important thing in life.
Nice.
I don't want to pamper him too much or give him things, because I want to give my child the best now. I don't want to feed him a fairy tale. I want to tell him about real life, and I want him to know that we're a team and we'll manage.
What would you like the next 5 years to be? I mean, I know that in this profession it's hard to plan very far ahead because it's such an unpredictable business. Just when you think you're getting something right, something new comes along and everything changes. And still, I would imagine that there are some sort of goals. You also run a massive company. Where would you like to, what is the direction you'd like to head in? What are the things that you think will still be important 5 years later? Is there some sort of plan?
So beyond the commerce of it, which I think is very important, the company has to make money, make content that works for the masses. I want to be relevant.
Right.
It's very important to be relevant.
Yeah.
Times will change, people will change, mindsets will change, and you have to adapt and adopt. And to be relevant, you have to listen. So I think I'd rather be relevant.
5 years ago, if one was chatting, one probably wouldn't have predicted that the landscape would have changed so much, especially with the shows coming in, with OTT coming in.
Yes.
What's going to be the next big change in your opinion?
VR, AR will be there, and the experience will be far more intimate. So like we are moving towards individuality. First, the bigger screen made you see things with hundreds of people. Then you went into a smaller screen where you are family and you watched. Then it's gone into individual where you're seeing something alone.
Right.
And now we're going to get into your minds.
Right.
Because you're going to be not only alone, you're going to be there.
Correct. Immersive.
So,
Finally, Ekta, your success has been largely attributed to your instinct. In television also, it was that she just knew what people wanted. Do you ever worry? Do you have days? I remember Amir Khan once saying, he said that, when my films start failing, my biggest worry is going to be, have I lost that instinct?
Oh, it happens all the time.
Do you have that? Do you have those days?
It happens all the time. But I think I really failed my instincts recently about people. Some people really shocked me with the backstabbing they've done. But your instinct actually tells you one thing. That inner voice you usually shut down, and you might, there are times when I've actually supported something and it's not worked and I felt I don't know my job anymore. But you just have to keep doing it.
Right.
I really think that the moment you get too attached to outcomes, the process loses its fun.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you should be having fun.
Right. That's actually good words to live by. Yeah, you have to have fun, you have to enjoy it while it lasts.
Because the process is all that's in your control, the outcome not.
True. Thank you. Wise words to live by. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And all the best on the new show.
And I'm really happy to be on your show, Rajeev, because I will see all of it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.